Welcome back. The failure of the Florida legislature to pass any reforms this year making condos safer is drawing a strong reaction from families who lost loved ones in the Champlain Towers collapse. This week I spoke to Martin Langesfeld, whose sister Nikki and her new husband Louis were among the 98 people who died in Surfside. Give me your thoughts with regard to the fact that they did nothing this session.
It's unbelievable. And to families of victims, it's truly just gut-wrenching. It makes it very clear to see how little they care of so many people dying in their safest place. You purchase a home and all you wait for is to go to bed at night because you know that's your safe place. You worked your entire life for that. And for them to not do anything in the first legislative session, the most important one after such a horrific catastrophe, shows that money is more important than lives here in Florida.
Tell me a little bit about your sister.
It's hard to think she's not here anymore. It's been over 9 months now, and it really feels like we are in a never-ending nightmare. She is a beautiful 26-year-old attorney when she got taken from us. Ready to start her life, recently married, an athlete, an animal lover, ambitions that she worked so hard on to start. And finally, once she opened that door and got her dream job, had all the potential in life to do what she wanted and what made her happy, it was taken from her.
And that's bad enough, but then having to experience that and then seeing nothing getting better as a result. In other words, not doing anything to make condo life safer for more than 3.5 million people in the state of Florida, more than 1.5 million condos and units in the state of Florida. That's the part that's infuriating for you.
3.5 million people are in potential danger. How many more need to die for our political leaders to make a difference? They have the power in their hands to make a change, an actual change, and to save lives.
There was another bill that brought you up to Tallahassee, which the current bill would have allowed, or the current law says that developers can be held liable for problems within their building for 10 years after they turn it over, correct? That's the current state of the law. They tried to pass a bill that would have lowered that to just 4 years. What were your thoughts when you heard that?
How is that even possible? We're going in the complete opposite direction. That's an insult to all the families, to all the people who feel safe in their own homes. Instead of raising accountability to 20 years, 15 years, or whatever the number may be, they're doing the opposite and trying to drop the accountability to 4 years so they can wipe their hands and walk away when more people die.
Now that bill didn't pass, in part because you went up and lobbied against it. You made it clear that this was unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. It should have never been on the table. And I made sure to make my voice clear for those who no longer have a voice.
Now the bill that there was some hope for, that would have actually put in some real reform for condo associations and condos, was a bill that broke down at the end on the issue of reserve funds. Reserves being the money set aside to make sure that you have it there for critical repairs. The House sponsor of the bill, State Representative Danny Perez, said that should never be waiving under any circumstance. The Senate raised the standard from maybe just a dozen or so condo unit owners being able to waive it for an entire building to requiring that 2/3 of all unit owners vote to waive before it could be waived. That's when the negotiations broke down. What were your thoughts about that bill?
I'm very grateful that Representative Danny Perez did present this bill and did everything he could in his power to try to make a change. And I stand with him that there's no negotiation on life. The few $1,000s it may cost to keep your building safe, you're going to end up spending it in funeral expenses when another building collapses. So it's very, very disappointing to see that it broke down because of money, once again. There's no negotiation on the value of life.
That's it. End of story.
It's going to happen again if things are not changed, if regulations and laws are not put to standard and to code. And the only way to do this is with having funds that cannot be negotiated.
When you look at your sister moved in about 2 months before the collapse. She had just gotten married, correct?
Ready to start her life in her dream home. Would wake up, go on her runs, work from home because of the pandemic. And she died in her dream place.
And she probably had no idea what was going on structurally within that building.
Absolutely no idea. She was just happy to be there.
Yeah, you think you're on the water, you think things are good, you go to bed.
Who doesn't want to live on that street with that beautiful view? And that view is what killed my sister.
We talked about the House and the Senate not being able to come to terms with this. I'm wondering, where was Governor DeSantis during all of this? He was at the site every day. We saw him there. To your knowledge, did he play any role in trying to help pass legislation that would have done something about making condos safer?
He did absolutely nothing. Once the cameras left, maybe 3 weeks after the collapse, he left. We've requested to meet with him countless times. Many families have requested to meet with him, and he acts like we do not exist. It seems he doesn't care if another building collapses. I've gone to knock his door in Tallahassee multiple times. Change needs to be made. He can make the change, and he doesn't want to listen.
When you say we've tried to speak to him, who's we?
Family members, victims' family members, myself, others.
And you've reached out to the governor's office and you can't get a meeting?
Countless times. Over 100 probably.
What does that tell you?
How little do they care? How many buildings is it going to take for our governor to care? When it's his family, maybe? What's it going to take?
What do you want to see happen? Do you want this to be taken up next year, or would you like to, or are you hoping that there'll be some sort of a special session where they can come back and deal with this subject sooner?
Next year could be too late. And we can't even have a question in the air of something being too late and for this to happen again. This needs to be taken in a special session. It's already disappointing and insulting that it wasn't taken up in the first legislative session. 3.5 million innocent, hardworking people, citizens, residents, visitors, millions come to Florida to live their dream, to be happy here. And so many of them do not know they are in danger. We can't see the foundations and what's under the building. We're not experts in this. Change needs to be made, and a special session is the only way to make this happen. It's already too late. We cannot wait another year.
Let's sort of broaden it out a little bit. And let's talk about, what has the last 9 months been like for you?
A never-ending nightmare. Sometimes you just have to slap yourself to see if this is reality, and think back 9 months and you picture it in your head. Sometimes you lay down, you look at the roof and you say, what were my sister's last seconds like? Did she see the roof fall? It doesn't seem to be real.
You think about that when you lay down in bed
all
at
the
night?
time. And I'm not the only one who thinks about that. This really affected everyone. And the worst part is, the hardest part is, we don't have closure. We do not know what happened. And we can't compare this to 9/11 because in 9/11, we knew what happened seconds after it happened. Here we don't know, and it's over 9 months already. And the scary part is, it could happen again.
Up next, with rents and fuel costs going up, families continue to have trouble keeping enough food on the table. We check in with the head of Feeding South Florida to see where we stand. Stay with us.